Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Mission Pro Wrestling's Unmatched. I am Front Row, and our best host from the West Coast, Trenda Magellan. What's up, Trenda?
Hey, I like that new intro there. All right, what's going on? Great way to start out the week.
It's Thursday.
I mean, the week for this show,
Oh, okay, I got you. The episode, I got you. Okay.
yes, thank you. But I do
I
know
mean,
it's
hey,
Thursday.
I told Mrs. Front Row today, like I thought all day it was Friday, and I was very disappointed to find out that it was not Friday.
Yeah, I think
So,
we all have those moments every Thursday.
yeah. Well, I see we already have a bunch of people in the chat. We have Mrs. Front Row, we have Neil, we have Brent.
All right.
Man, a bunch of people showing up already. I mean, I just love this community of folks that come and support Mission Pro Wrestling, especially on the YouTube shows. We have so much fun on Tuesdays on a Mission and on Thursdays Unmatched. Honestly, guys, like these shows are so much fun for us to do, and
Yeah.
it's because all of the folks that are interactive and support, and it's just a blast. Trent and I have so much fun on these shows.
Yeah. We were just saying a little while ago how this is like actually one of the highlights of the week for us. It's like totally no work at all. It's just fun wrestling opinions and enjoying the interaction with the Mission Pro world. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's jump right in. I really wanted to get your thoughts because like last week, Thunder and I announced on Tuesday that Izzy would be joining us as a guest on Unmatched, and then on
Hmm.
Unmatched we did. She was awesome. She was
Yeah.
just Izzy is just such a cool person, and then of course on the show it was announced that she was going to be joining Mission Pro for the first time on commentary
Doing
at True
commentary.
Colors.
Yes,
So
yeah.
I wanted to get your thoughts about sort of the interview and what we're excited about.
I am enthusiastic about this because I am such an Izzy fan. I've been listening and kind of following, and I think everybody kind of feels like we've been watching her grow for the past couple of years. Ever since I was introduced to her as her interviews, well, not even her interviews, when she would call in initially on Busted Open. And that's how I first started hearing her, and then all of a sudden, she's this young woman with all these big goals and ambitions all in the pro wrestling world, and that her goal to one day be an actual pro wrestler and to enter the ring and to be the biggest star in the world, and she's such a motivated, um enthusiastic and positive person. I even told her once before when I had met her, and I think for the first time in at the Busted Open event in Dallas. I met her there, and I was just telling her, I'm a grown woman. I'm in my up my years, and then
Late 20s.
yeah, exactly. No, no, definitely late 20s. And then, but even a woman such as myself, I'm so inspired by her, and just the work that she puts in, knowing another thing is knowing who she wants to be and who she wanted to be at such a young age. That's something a lot of us, we don't really find out who we want to be, or who we can even think about how our lives are going to be mapped out until we're way late in life. And she knew who she wanted to be early, and that's something special in the pro wrestling world, and she's doing everything to make sure that happens, and I'm just really inspired and proud of her for that. So yeah, and then again, in the commentary situation, this is going to be awesome. We'll get to hang out with her again, and not only just that, just getting to see how she feels about getting her foot wet and actually doing some behind the scenes wrestling work. So yeah, definitely, I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be great. Yes.
Yeah, and I see everybody sort of agrees with you in the chat. Everyone's excited to see what Izzy is going to be bringing to the table on commentary at True Colors. I know that she mentioned that she was going to be in San Antonio doing some training, so she's at the very beginning of that part of her pro wrestling career. She's been part of the media for a number of years with her own YouTube
Yes.
series, and she really has a very solid understanding of a lot of the aspects. I mentioned that Mrs. Front Row and I met Izzy and her family 8 years ago, and have stayed in touch with them and just seen her evolve and grow and sort of shake off some of the challenges and some of the stuff that we've seen over the years. And she's one of the more mature people I know, and I know a lot of people a lot myself.
Yes, very much so. She really has her ducks in a row early in life. Like that's inspirational within itself, you know.
Yeah. I see we got a few more people in the chat here. I see Matthew. I see Sam in Cleveland. No Gimmicks is in there. I see JD is in there. Michael May is here. My
Hey,
goodness, we got everybody in here tonight.
welcome, Sam.
Awesome. So cool. So real quick, my hair is all messed up tonight. I apologize. I normally try to stay like nice and clean.
Bad hair day. You have
No, no, no,
you're in a
no.
bad hair day.
Well, yes, but also like next week we're going on. My wife and I are going on vacation, and I wanted to get a haircut real close to the vacation, so y'all have to suffer with bad hair me tonight.
Oh
What
wow.
hair? Sam, man. All right. All right. Okay, let's stick to the topic at hand. Let's talk some pro wrestling.
Pro wrestling, yes,
So of course we're less than a month away from True Colors now. Tickets are selling very well. I think there's a handful of VIP tickets left. I don't know the actual ticket count, but I'm told there's a few left. Definitely, if you're going to be in the San Antonio area or in driving distance, you're going to want to be at this show. Go to missionprowrestling.com for tickets. If you're interested in sponsorship opportunities, there's still some great opportunities for folks to come in and sponsor a wrestler or the show or a match. Different tiers are available. That's missionprowrestling@gmail.com, and we'll get right back to you. Our operators are standing by, but it's email. So
standing by.
Yeah, our very own Neil's going to be there with us. You're of course going to be on site. Mrs. Front Row and I will be there.
Yeah. I can't wait to have another opportunity to meet everybody in Mission Pro World. So yes.
Yeah, it's always such a great time. The folks in attendance always have a blast, and it's always such a really positive, fun, energetic crowd. So it's always a good time. I can't wait. And if you're not able to be there in person, make sure to check it out on Title Match Network. Will be 6 Central, 7 Eastern is the start time. Man, it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's talk about a couple of the matches. I know we're going to go into some of the there's a lot of interesting things happen in the world of wrestling, but I did want to touch on a couple of the matches here.
Okay.
And I'm going to actually jump right in with this main event, or at least, the title match. So as far as Genocide versus Jasmine Allure, and we've talked a little bit about it, but both of these women have a long history with Mission Pro Wrestling.
Yes,
both have had some killer matches, and sort of come at it from different perspective. Jasmine has sort of this chip on her shoulder that she feels like she has a right to be in that spot as a contender, and probably even feels like she should be the champion based on the promos that we've seen and some of the videos we've seen. And Genocide being a fighting champion feels very protective of her spot. So I wanted to ask you, what was maybe one of your favorite Genocide matches or moments that we've seen over the past few years?
Wow. That's tough because I've seen Genocide quite a few times, actually, in quite a few different promotions.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so while you're thinking on it, so let me share one with you that we've also seen Genocide in different promotions. We've been at NWA shows. We've seen her
Exactly.
wrestle there,
Yeah.
but to see her as champion, to see her with the title, it's a different Genocide. She's gotten stronger. She's leaned out a little bit. She's even more athletic now. But I go all the way back to Locked and Loaded, which is one of my favorite Mission Pro shows, and we were there. That was the show where Thunder and Dave had their showdown. But to me, I mentioned this I think previously. To me, the best match or my favorite match that night was Genocide versus Holodead, and they were all over the venue. They were just it was one of the most physical matches I've ever
It
seen.
was. It was probably, to be honest, it was probably one of the best matches on the card. And not only that, those two ladies, but this is you think about who they are as people. This is Genocide and Holodat, and they are both two bulls, two forces to be reckoned with. At the same time, neither one of them want to give, and they're going to give you everything, everything they got, and they both are strong. They are both dominant, and they're both. Yeah, I'm starting to see the match just come back into my head, playing back. That's one of my favorite vacations. I loved being there live. Like, these two ladies were, and still are, two of my favorite women wrestlers out here right now. But um I'm actually gonna say something you probably wasn't expecting me to say. I Although this match is gonna be so hard hitting, and I know Jasmine's gonna have to be real quick and everything because Genocide does have that power. But I understand where she's coming from. I understand where Jasmine is coming from as far as feeling maybe a little looked over. Like, I've been here, I've worked hard. Like, at some point in time, this belt really should be around my waist. And I think she has a chip on her shoulder, and I think she's ready to cash that chip in. I'm actually as big of a fan as I said. I've seen Genocide so many times. Just a wonderful human being, and just a dominant woman in the ring. But I think Jasmine is coming to show everybody something, and I think that she's ready to take that championship and show everybody what she's really made of. This is not going to be, not that any other match Genocide had as a cakewalk, but this is definitely not going to be a cakewalk. And I think the passion that these two women have is really going to come through in that ring, and we're going to see something special here at True Colors between these two.
Yeah, and I see in the chat Michael Mays, man, he's picking Jasmine to win, and I can't disagree from the perspective of Jasmine was champion for a second until
Yeah,
Holiday cashed in on her, and I feel like Jasmine has something to prove to herself or to to the Mission Pro faithful that she is a champion and just the uncrowned champion, so to speak. So that's going to be interesting. And Neil also mentions um, Genocide's match with Hyon, which
yeah, at
man,
the last year. Yeah,
two
yeah.
very strong physical competitors.
At the same time, like you said, Jasmine had that belt for man, a hot second, and you gotta think that she feels some type of way. Like you said, she has something to prove, and mostly to herself. I mean, and then there's always the whispers behind how her championship is that's the record she holds.
Mhm.
She's here at Mission Pro, but she holds the record for having the championship for the least amount of time. That's gotta be hurtful. You gotta want to come back from that with something, with everything you got, and having an opportunity to have that belt, or to have that championship again. I think she's gonna take it, and she's gonna show everybody that she's not a 5 minute champion. She's here to stay, and she's gonna take this company where it needs to go because she can do it.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, this is a hard one to pick. So, and we're going to do, we'll probably talk more predictions and picks as we get closer. And I know Emily and Veda will probably do the same for some of the other matches on a mission in the upcoming weeks. But I'm very excited, and I keep an eye on our social media because there's more and more promos and videos and thoughts from the different competitors. We're releasing new content every week. So stay tuned, stay close to the socials, and it's going to be a ride. It's going to be a good time. So I did actually I wanted to dive into some of the other news from this week, and I want to start with Raw because I want to get your opinion on this.
Okay.
We saw Becky Lynch come out and cut a promo. Becky Lynch is one of the best promos in WWE when she has a purpose, right? When she has something to fight for, when she has something that she's truly invested in, which is most of the time. And this week was no different. She basically responded to Trish Stratus's claims that Trish was the best women's wrestler of all time and that everybody sort of owed their current career to the groundwork that she had laid down. I mean, there's some truth to that, but at the same time, to me, and this is just my perspective, to me, the biggest turning point in the modern era of women's wrestling was the Four Horsewomen and the NXT women's division from 2013, 2014 on up. And I felt like that was really the turning point where the audience started demanding women's wrestling. And the audience, by the audience, I mean the WWE audience, right? The NXT audience.
So we're talking Sasha, Becky,
Bailey and Becky, Bailey and Charlotte, right?
Bailey and Charlotte. We're talking the original NXT Four Horsewomen as becoming the most. I don't know. I mean, did women's wrestling really change and really take a big change during that time?
I think so. I think so because on Raw and SmackDown, the women at the time were not getting what the NXT women were getting on regular TV. And with the launch of the WWE Network in 2014, and we saw the first takeover, we saw Paige and Emma have that classic match. And then at the next, just a few months later, we saw Charlotte and Natty have this killer match with Ric Flair and Bret Hart at ringside, just watching, not taking anything away from the match. And the match was great. And to me, those were sort of watershed moments in the history of women's wrestling. People have done it before. There's obviously a big history of competitors.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I'm gonna take something that Dave always says: wrestling is about moments, and those were definitely key moments in changing the way the perception of women wrestling. Well, not even change. I don't want to say changing the way the perception, because actually, to my point, like to actually piggyback on Trish, she might feel a little some type of way because what she did in her era, in the Lita era, was actually change the perception of women's wrestling. This was a time when we were transforming women from wearing all these little tight little bikinis and being these little, trophies and little side ladies and just arm candy, basically, to like, no, like, I'm here to wrestle. Like Lita wrestle with the Hardy Boys. Like, this is what I do. I'm a high flyer. I'm not finna dress in these little tight gowns. And I think each have their own, significance within their time frame, but each do have um a great gripe in saying that I did something great to enhance from where we were to where we will be. Because, that, I mean, again, Trish was initially, like a Playboy bunny. I mean, that's what she was, eye candy. She was like, she's beautiful. This is her. Put her on something skimpy, have them skip around and hold on to Vince's arm and play and bat her eyes. And then now, no, I'm a wrestler. I'm not just here to sit here and have men just gawk at me. I want them to understand that I have abilities in this ring, that I get here and fight my heart out, and I'm just like everybody else. I'm not just this woman piece of eye candy. So I think they both have a gripe. I understand what you're saying about Becky, but I can understand Trish's um, world too.
Okay, so and I just want to my point is not that those women didn't have legendary careers and force people to pay attention and all of their accomplishments. I'm not minimizing any of that. What I'm saying is that NXT women's division, and I want to call this out too because um Sam says it all started with the Bella Twins. Now, that Bella Twins,
Hmm.
when the Bella Twins had that 30-second match and Give Divas a Chance was trending, the answer to that is only possible if there's an NXT women's division to draw from. Because at the time,
Okay.
the main roster didn't have the depth of talent that NXT was producing. So
Okay.
I would argue that it was at that during that time that the whole fan base started to demand better from the companies. They demanded good women's
Okay.
wrestling.
Okay. I see where you're going with that because prior to it wasn't more so of the fan base demanding, it was more so the women trying to ask for equal rights. Whereas
Right.
this was something that I exactly I understand. Exactly. I agree.
So
I understand that. Yes.
since then we've seen such a growth in that company, and we've seen the AEW women's division has some unbelievable talent. We've seen Impact and Ring of Honor, and and of course, now New Japan has a women's division, and I don't want to minimize the accomplishments of like a Bull Nakano and Aja Kong, and like there's all these legends who have laid the groundwork and built the
Yes.
foundation for what the modern women's wrestling is built on. But I just think that that was a turning point where the audience started to say, no, we want now they watch
Yeah.
NXT or they watch
Exactly.
whatever during that time and they say, this is what we want. And now you fast forward to today and Mission Pro Wrestling is bringing us some of the best women's wrestling on the planet, a women's promotion that runs all the time. We have tons of talent who come through our doors. There were 4 or 5 former Mission Pro talent just on NXT this week,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
several on Raw and SmackDown.
Oh, and not to mention Ring of Honor. Not
Right,
to mention Ring
exactly.
of Honor.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. These women are. That's one thing you can definitely say, and be proud of. That Mission Pro is exactly what they say they are. They're here to showcase and to let these women um, give them an opportunity to be seen, and then some of the greatest talents we see on TV right now have come through Mission Pro. So that says something. That definitely says something.
So when I heard Becky's promo, I wouldn't say sided with her, but I definitely understood the passion that she was speaking with because Becky is one of the 3 women that main evented. That was the first women's main event for WrestleMania. Her program with Ronda is legendary. It was one of the best. What Sam Roberts likes to call new kayfabe. It was just such a beautiful story told brilliantly on social media, on TV, in real life. All of it blended together brilliantly. And for a good 18 months, Becky Lynch was hands down the biggest star in all of wrestling because she earned it and she made it happen.
Definitely, definitely. Becky is on a different level, she really is. She's on a different level. She's on Raw and she's letting everybody see the true person that she is. You know what I mean? Like as of lately, I don't know, maybe because of the real personalness of this particular match or this situation where Trish brought her daughter into it, and now you can see this different type of fire in her eyes. Definitely become personal in that sense, but at the same time, Becky Becky has never really been a fourth. That's why they call her the mess. She's never really been somebody that you want to mess with. And then on this personal level, I'm scared to see what's going to happen. So I hope Trish is ready. I hope Trish is ready for what's coming down the line.
Yeah, me too. I'm here for it. So, but credit where it's due. Trish Stratus is she's in the best shape of her life. She's out there cutting great promos. She's having matches that anybody in their 20s and 30s would be proud of.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for her success. but I kind of
Yeah.
want Becky to beat her up.
And I think that's the point. I think that was the point. And if that is the point, they're doing exactly what needs to be done because I want her to be beat up as well.
Okay. Well, I guess they're doing their jobs then, but I'm excited for all of it. Let's talk a little bit more. On Raw, also Raquel Rodriguez defeated Chelsea Green.
Oh
It was,
yeah.
it was a fairly short match. It was good. But the important part of this was after the match, Raquel was jumped by Shayna and Ronda. And
Exactly.
we've been saying it for a while. This is the best direction I think that they can go in, having Ronda and Shayna just tear through the division and just beat people up because that's what they do. They're fighters. They're MMA stars, and Ronda's one of the best to ever do it. So, and Shayna was in the top 10 before Ronda. She was in the top 10 in MMA women's division for almost a decade. So, two very, very talented um, combat sports people. So, where are you? What are you thinking about this team up and where are they headed?
I'm loving it. And another reason is because you can tell that WWE is putting a lot of excuse me, putting a lot of investment in their women's tag team division as of lately. They got a called up from NXT. There's a lot of different women tag teams that you see that were sometimes, in the past, they'll throw some teams together and they'll be together for about 2-3 weeks, and then you're like, what is this? But they're really working on that. So in addition to that, Shayna and Ronda, I mean, what else can you say about them but them two are fighters and killers in the ring to the point where you put them together as a tag team and have them kind of run through that tag team division that you're building. And I don't even want to see them have the belts. I just kind of want to see them beat people up all the time, just kind of like what they did to Raquel. Oh, your partner's not here. You're going to give us a shot at these belts, but they should get a shot, but I don't really even want them to win. I want them to kind of just get mad that they can't win and then let the belts just do what they do, and they're just beating up any and everybody who challenges for the belt at this point until they get just make it a whole thing, because it still shows their dominance. It still shows how bad they are and what they can do to people, but at the same time, give them some character, give them something, um um a great storyline. I just hope that at them two as partners get a great storyline. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, bringing up the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions to the main roster was cool, and to have them continue to hold those titles
Yeah,
is an interesting twist.
yeah,
I'm a big
yeah. Think
fan.
about
I'm a big fan of both women, and if you keep them keep them away from Ronda and Shayna for a while, that could be a very interesting matchup down the road.
Yeah, I'm for it. I'm for that as
Me
well.
too.
Yeah.
Speaking of NXT, let's jump over to NXT for a second. We saw.
Great.
I think I have a graphic for this. We saw this week Tiffany Stratton and faced off against Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez did defeat. No, I'm sorry. We saw JC Jane versus Roxanne Perez. I'm sorry. JC
Yes.
Jane versus Roxanne Perez. JC Jane did lose to Roxanne via the Pop Rocks, and we did see Cora Jade and Fallon Henley. Cora Jade winning via DDT. So now in our next round, we see Lyra Valkyria versus Cora Jade, Tiffany Stratton versus Roxanne Perez, and the winners of those two matches will face off at Battleground on May 28th. I'm always a big fan of tournaments, especially when it's a vacated title, because I'm a big fan of stories, but the tournament is the story here, right?
Yeah.
Do
So
you
these are
so
the quarterfinals, right?
correct?
These were the quarterfinals, and then we also had
Well, these
what is
were.
Hell and Kiana? You said the Hell and Kiana
I'm
James.
sorry. Yep.
Yeah. So these were the quarterfinals, and these were some very interesting matches. NXT has a lot of talent over there. I'm looking at these women and I'm like, they're working really hard. That match that Jade and Henley had was like, it could have went either way. You know, there's these ladies have some serious skills, and I can't wait to see what they are able to do in the future. Both of them all together, and then JC Jade, of course. You know, that match, I almost wasn't even sure that Roxanne Perez was gonna even win. You know, they were so evenly matched. It went back and forth, back and forth. I mean, Perez had to work very hard for that win. And I know she's looking forward to being in the finals again, you know, trying to win her championship back, or what she feels should still be her championship, because, you know, she never lost that title. Of course, you know, she had to forfeit it, but wow, these quarterfinal matches were awesome. I'm looking so much forward to the finals, because every lady out of all these six ladies, I didn't know who was gonna win. It was just so much back and forth, so much stress, so much passion in the ring, and you can just see the talent from NXT that's coming through, just making you gasp and hold your breath, waiting to see what they're going to do when they get to the main roster. So I loved it. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
And something else that I really, really like, and a lot of the times in the women's division, there's a lot of focus around your main title, which of course is what this tournament is all based around. But
Mhm.
I've been so invested in the JC Jane Gigi Dolan story, and of course Gigi
Yeah.
showed up at the end of this match after her loss. JC Jane and Gigi did sort of get into it, and they had to be, there's a pull apart, and
Yeah.
this non-title story is so good.
Yeah, 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 it is. It really is. I mean, those two, you can keep that feud going for quite some time. It done got personal. You know, they done brought family into it. They done brought personal life stories into it. And what else makes a great story other than knowing the gossip in the background of what everybody's been going? Like, this is definitely something they can keep going on for a while. And I'm interested each time, because when both ladies get in the ring, both ladies are there to work. It's always
Okay,
a match. So
let me ask you this then, because this is similar to me, where I know it's early and the comparison's a little weak, but it's like a Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Like, this is early in their story, but this
yeah,
is a story. This sort of feud can carry on for years throughout NXT and Raw and SmackDown, and eventually on a WrestleMania stage. Like, this is something that they
yeah,
can.
that's a hell of a comparison right there. I see it. I see it, and I see how it can continue. And look what they have done throughout their careers together. Or even we could even do an Edge and Christian for going way back in the day too. As much as they used to, you know. But yes, I see the comparison, and again, like you said, these two ladies can tell this story for maybe the next 10 years of their career throughout WWE, and even wherever they go. You know, that's
Mm-hmm,
awesome. It's awesome to be able to work with somebody and have that chemistry, especially in the beginning, especially like that, you know, because they
mm-hmm,
were awesome together. I enjoy every match that they've been in together, even when they were tagging together, that you can still tell that they had something cool with each other, you know. So
mm-hmm.
yeah, I love it. Yeah, I'm for it.
Just stay out of the NXT parking lot. That's my only advice.
Yeah.
I actually have that shirt. Maybe next week I'll bring it out. I have an NXT parking lot shirt. Okay, so let's jump over to AEW, because man, there's a lot of
Right.
stuff that happened this week. Of course, the big news coming out of AEW this week is the announcement of the new AEW Collision.
Yeah.
It's going to be a show on Saturday nights at 8 p.m. on TNT, and you can see some familiar faces on here. Foremost, front and center is our very own Thunder Rosa, who was advertised as being one of the
Woo-hoo.
featured um, wrestling superstars on the show. And look at all the faces that are on here. Some big names associated with this program. So I
Yeah.
don't know. We don't know yet what the content's going to be, but we know it's going to be a live show on Saturday nights. And
And
I'm
it's gonna be
excited.
exciting. Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, not like I don't have anything else to do on a Saturday night other than throw in another couple of hours of wrestling, live wrestling at that. But I'm going to do it, and I'm going to enjoy it, just like I do all the wrestling that I watch. This is another live show, and AEW has so many talents over there that are not being utilized. And I think this is a wonderful opportunity to be able to see what we can do and what storylines we can get from just these particular talents. I mean, they got House of Black on there, as you said. I saw Thunder Rosa, I saw Hobbs. You know, there's Samoa Joe. There are some fan favorites on this poster here on this little advertisement. So I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm ready for with my popcorn and my little drinks and everything for the first night. Let's go. Let's go. I'm ready
Yeah,
for it.
I think they announced today that is it July 22nd. It's going to
Yes.
be in Newark. So
Yes.
a lot of our friends up in
That,
the Northeast will get a chance to see it live.
man, hopefully so. I hope they can go. I hope they can go and just enjoy that. I can't wait for them to swing around my way on the West Coast.
Yeah, and Michael, I guess Michael May saying in the chat he was live at Dynamite last night, and so was our very own Emily May was there. Our good friend Rodney Garza was there.
Garza. Yeah,
A lot of
Garza
people
there
there.
as well. Awesome.
And the feedback that we got was that it's just like every other AEW show, just tons of energy, a lot of fun. Go see the show. We've all
Yeah.
been to
It's
AEW shows. They're a ton of fun.
some of the best experiences I've ever had at a wrestling shows. I mean, the energy in the room is so wonderful, and then the thickness and the camaraderie and just the wrestling. AEW has hell of a live shows. I can vouch for that. I've been to quite a few.
Yeah. Okay, so and of course the big match from the women's division last night, we saw Britt Baker and Hikaru Shida face off against Ruby Soho and Tony Storm.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, like I was working and had stuff to do, but I did catch clips, so I want to sort of pick your brain about this match and sort of where they're heading with this. The Outcasts did win with a Storm Zero from Tony Storm on
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Britt Baker, which I thought was interesting because we don't see Britt Baker, even though she loses in a tag sometimes, we don't really see her be on the receiving end of this, right? So what were your
Well,
thoughts about the match and sort of the end of this?
Well, I mean, realistically, she is playing the babyface role now, and then it wasn't just like she was just hit with the Storm Zero. They sprayed her in the face first with their their spray paint that they use to spray loser on people. So it still made her look very strong because the evil guys did what they needed to do to win. So, but what I can say that I really did like about this match was that it was a Britt Baker and a Sheeta match that didn't involve our AEW Women's Champion. I like the fact that it was a match where Hayter was not involved, and then I don't know if they're trying to put some separation in between the two, but if they are, I think it's a great idea. And let your champion shine as a champion alone, and then give Britt her own personality, which she's obviously capable of having and doing what she needs to do. Her and Sheeta, they worked very well together last night. If there wasn't any shenanigans involved, you would have actually thought that they were going to win that match. If everything was fair and square, but that's just not the life we live. But at the same time, it was a very good match, and they worked well together. And of course, nobody doubts that Britt's able to work alone and win alone. But at the same time, when is the last time we actually seen her win something without the assistance of somebody else or some type of shenanigans? So it
Yeah, that's
was
a
good.
good
I
point.
thought it was good to see her in that light. Seeing them working together and just yeah, I like the actually like the dynamic. So I don't know what they're gonna do with that or how they want to work that, but it was good. It was a good show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Hikaru Shida. I think she's just an incredible one of the top talents in AEW. She is very technically sound. She has that Japanese strong style that a lot of us are fans of. I know Neil's in the chat. He's a big fan of Joshi wrestling and a
Yeah.
lot of that style from your Stardom and Tokyo Joshi Pro and all those promotions. So bringing that style to AEW, I think is great. And there are others, but for me, she's sort of the best representation of that on that show right now. So
Yeah.
anytime she's in the ring, I'm definitely paying attention.
Mhm.
So I love the concept of the Outcast. I'm not 100% sold on the execution of the story so far
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
does seem to
Yeah.
be like back and forth 50-50 booking, like, you know, but we'll see where they go. I'm sure they're headed somewhere good because they have the right people in the ring. So
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I like the story of the outcast. I like the story of this three woman fraction, or even if they would even bring somebody else in, I don't know who that would be, a fourth woman, or something like that. But but even if they were to do something like, I love the idea of the fraction. I'm not sold on um the actual storyline as far as who their opponents are. I don't know if it's I don't know. I'm still weighing it in my mind. But the Outcast as a crew, I love their dynamic together. So
yeah,
we'll see.
agreed. Well, there's a lot more coming up. There's every week there's more interesting things going on. There's more pay-per-views coming up. I know there's Night of Champions is coming up for WWE. We've got Double or Nothing coming up for AEW. Of course, All In has sold like almost 70,000 tickets now for
Wow.
Wembley, which is insane. I think I
NXT has
read,
Battleground coming. NXT
yep,
has Battleground.
Battleground.
Yeah.
And just huge kudos to AEW. Like, however your feelings about the company, people online have different feelings about it, but the fact that they're still several months away from the event and they've sold almost 70,000 tickets to a venue that's currently scaled to like 72,000, my guess is they're going to eventually open up more seats because they'll reach sellout status well before that. So
Yeah. Next
um
week.
probably next week, yeah, maybe.
Next week. I'm timing it.
I mean, but they haven't even announced matches for the show yet. It's just that it's on the promise of the show itself. So yeah, so that's a thing that's good for everybody in wrestling, right? That's
Yeah.
a rising tide raises all ships sort of situation. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. But look what you just said. Look what we said a few minutes ago. AEW shows is where it is to be. A live show is so amazing and such an awesome thing to have. And if it's something that is not regular in your area, you want that experience. You want that experience. I know I did. As soon as they showed up in my area, I was there front and center. So so as a wrestling fan, as a pro wrestling fan, as a fan of sports entertainment all in one, yeah, definitely. I can see them selling another 10,000 tickets before the event. I really could.
Sure. I agree. Well, I'm here for all of it. So man, Trenda, I appreciate you as always coming on and talking wrestling with us on a Thursday night. I know
Hey,
everybody's busy schedules and whatnot, but we have so much fun with everybody in the chat. Everybody in the chat, thanks for joining us tonight. Trenda, where can people find you on the socials?
well, on my socials, you can find me at Trenda Magellan. That's Magellan with a J, not a G. Make sure you go ahead and befriend me, and I'll friend you back.
Awesome. And you can find me at PW Front Row on all the socials. Make sure to like, subscribe, and set your notifications for the Mission Pro YouTube channel. You can find us on all the social media platforms at Mission Pro Wrestling. You can email us for sponsorship opportunities at missionprowrestling@gmail.com. Get your tickets at missionprowrestling.com. And it is going to be an absolute blast in June. And you can also find me on Saturday nights on the Nation's Corner, proud
Yeah.
sponsor of Mission Pro Wrestling.
Nation's
And
Corner
that's
always on location. Yes.
always on location. And there are some just real quick. Our some of our other hosts did a wonderful interview with Paul Ehrlich from Busted Open,
Yes.
executive producer of Busted Open Radio
Producer
last week.
Paul.
Go check it out. It's such a fun behind the scenes, really cool interview. And it's on the Nation's Corner YouTube channel. You can find us at Nation's Corner on Twitter and all the social media. So thanks to everybody for joining, and have a great weekend. We're going to see everybody next week. Make sure you tune in on Tuesday for On a Mission, because that's going to be a fun episode. All right, guys. We'll see y'all later.